Right guys, so let's crack on now with activity 5. So this is still on the February 2019 paper here. So Jasmina needs to maintain financial documents, explain one impact on JSG Limited of having inaccurate financial documents. So well, if we come back to a little earlier in the paper, you'll remember we looked at a question which was asking us to identify these different sort of financial documents here. Now, in doing this, you can then identify something like the invoice. Now, imagine that she's sending out invoices to her customers and she's sending them out for the incorrect amounts, or they're not going out. Well, of course, that's going to cause cash flow problems. So we could literally say something along any of those lines, and it could really relate to credit notes. It could be anything of that sort of order, whether it's statement of account. Okay, so let's have a little look at that. So this may cause problems with invoices. Okay, so this may cause problems with invoices. Fine, that's 1 mark. Now notice that there's 3 marks available for this, so we've got to have an explanation, okay, of this one potential issue here. Okay, so this may cause problems with invoices. Now this could lead to a poor reputation for the firm. So we could then go on to say leading to a poor reputation. Alright, fine. Therefore, cash flow problems. So it could be therefore cash flow problems, or therefore a loss of revenue. So it might cause problems because it sets it just puts the business in a bad light, really. So there we go. We can see we've got 3 separate points there, and it's really important that you take note of the fact that there are 3 marks available here. So you've got to develop that explanation for this 5A question to make sure that you've got 2 points of explanation, as I've done there. Right, so let's move it on. Jasmina is considering allowing customers to pay by credit card. Okay, so explain 2 advantages for JSG of accepting credit card payments from customers. So 2 advantages. Well, firstly, we could focus on something like improved customer service, okay, because it means that if customers say, oh, can I pay on card? She can say yes. Improved customer service. So that's going to be good news, and exactly the opposite of what we said previously up here about the bad reputation, because remember, we've got to develop this explanation because there's 4 marks available, 2 for each of these points that we've got to identify. So improved customer service, and then you could say, well, this would improve the reputation of the business. That would be fine, okay. Or you could simply say leading to a range of payment options being available. Okay, so that would do it. Very nice. Now, what else could we also focus on here? Well, it could be something practical for Jasmina as well, and the fact that she wouldn't now have to actually take money to the bank. Okay, so it's an automatic online transaction, isn't it? Okay, so that would work nicely as well. No need to take money to the bank. Alright, fine. I'm just writing this shorthand to get through it nice and quickly. Okay, because it's an automatic or electronic transfer. Alright, nicely done. Okay, so again, we've taken care of 2 marks for each of these. We've identified a point and it just added some explanation. Okay, so now we've got 5C down here at the bottom. Jasmina knows that by targeting business customers, she will improve the success of her enterprise. State one way that JSG can segment the market. Okay, so segment the market. Well, there's a number of different ways that this could be undertaken, and that could be based upon geographic segmentation. It could be the sort of location element there, the geography of where she lives, but it could also be about behavioural consumption of a gardening service. The fact that you need to have your lawns mowed every couple of weeks in the summertime, but less so in the winter time. So any of these would work nicely. Okay, so we can put down geographic, or you can put down behavioural segmentation if you prefer. Okay, so there's 8 marks on that section 5, and then we're into activity 6. Right, so Jasmina is thinking of using loyalty incentives as a sales promotion to attract new customers. Okay, right, so these loyalty incentives, let's hear about that. Explain 2 advantages for JSG Limited of using loyalty incentives as a sales promotion. Okay, so 4 marks, we've got 2 areas, so therefore we've got to identify 2 as it says and explain those. Okay, right, so what could we actually focus on here? Well, we could, of course, focus on the fact that loyalty incentives, loyalty incentives encourage repeat business, and of course make sure you pause this and have a go at answering these questions on your own as well. Okay, encourage repeat purchases. All right, so that's jolly nice for 1 mark. Okay, this will increase revenue or boost cash flow, or you could say would lead to a constant stream of income or something along those lines. Any of those would work really nicely. Now, it may also mean that, saying the way that Tesco's actually use their loyalty cards, the club card system, they actually gain information about consumers, what consumers like, what they dislike, and therefore can target them better, can actually identify what they like buying, and send them discounts on those preferred purchases, and that may encourage other purchases and so on. So that may work as well. So we can, Jasmina can identify exact customer needs from data or from sales data. Right, so that works, and then we can then focus on the fact that she can better target that customer to their exact needs. Okay, she could then better promote particular services. Okay, to that given customer. Okay, all right, so jolly good. So it means ultimately that she can meet customer needs better because she understands what the customer is actually looking for. All right, good stuff. So let's now move it on, and we're on to 6B. So Jasmina is aware that there are factors that would influence which promotional method she uses. One of these factors is cost. Explain one other factor that is likely to influence Jasmina's choice of promotional method. Okay, so 2 marks available, so we've got to identify it and we've got to explain it very briefly. So what could we focus on? Well, it could simply be something like the target market. We've got to consider who the actual customer is. Now that's a really important one. So target market, and why is that important? Well, marketing to B2B customers is going to be different from marketing to B2C consumers. Now, if you think about normal domestic households, they're likely to actually make their mind up fairly quickly, I'd imagine, whereas businesses, when determining a contract, it's going to take longer, okay? So seeing the sort of differences in their customer profile there is important. So let's just follow that up, because then we can say, business, B2B customers may take longer to make decisions. Okay, now of course there's many different answers here you could have put down. You could have said something about the size of the business, that it's a small local business, the nature of the service, okay, and so on. So anyway, that does the business there. Right, last question now, guys. We're almost through it. Well done sticking with this. Okay, appreciate it. It's quite tough there. Right, let's just zoom in on this, because there's a lot of text there. Okay, so Jasmina has decided to use public relations methods to attract business customers. She can either, we're focusing on public relations, she can either take part in an exhibition attended by local enterprises, okay, or she can sponsor a local event such as a gardening competition. Okay, so she's got two alternative ways to go here. Evaluate which of these two public relations methods Jasmina should use to attract business customers. Okay, so she's very much focused on business customers. Now, take part in an exhibition attended by local enterprises. Notice that focuses on local business customers, okay? Sponsor a local event such as a gardening competition. We're unsure whether that's going to expose her to business customers there, all right? So with this first one, the first one looks at a better option just off the top of my head. Now, notice what you've got to do here, that they're trying to really point you in the direction of how to answer this question, and we've got 6 marks available here. Okay, so analysis of the key advantages. Right, well, firstly, the first point we can focus on is that she's going to be able to raise awareness with and I'm talking about option 1 here, okay, so she can raise awareness with target customers. All right, so that works nicely. That's a really, really important point, because that's attended by local enterprises. It also means that she can actually can meet potential clients face to face. So again, that's jolly good, like that. Now she might also be able to explain the service that she can offer, what she can't offer, and so on. And this is more likely ultimately to build builds trust, and trust really important in marketing. Okay, so that's a really important point to understand there. Now there may be some costs in terms of doing this. Okay, so now notice what we've got to do. We've got to look at some of the disadvantages. I've looked at 3 advantages rather. Now, I mean, you could go further here, and you could actually say that she can better understand customer needs, or something along those lines. That, yeah, she can explain the service, etc. But anyway, what about the fact that there's likely to be a cost in attending the exhibition? Okay, so cost of attending the exhibition. Now, that cost could be a financial cost, but it could also be the opportunity cost, i.e. the fact that she's not then doing gardens and offering her service if she's attending that exhibition. So she's busy marketing herself, so she's not getting that same level of income she otherwise would at that particular point in time, but in the long run it may benefit. Okay, so there's a cost of attending, okay, and there is no guarantee. So there's no guarantee of additional customers. All right, lovely. Okay, excuse my writing here. All right, now, nice one. Let's move it on, focus on the second option. Okay, so the second option is sponsor a local event such as a gardening competition. So this sounds a little bit more random, okay. Now it's going to, of course, help to raise awareness, and it may well create creates positive brand image, creates positive brand image. And that's jolly good. Now we could also extend that to the fact that it's a gardening competition, so it creates positive brand image with gardening. Okay, so that's jolly good. Now we could also focus on the fact that it may help to raise sales, may help to boost publicity and raise sales. So that works. Boost publicity and raise sales. Jolly good. Now, what are the downsides of this? Okay. Well, firstly, as we've said, it doesn't refer to enterprise or businesses in this part here, does it? Okay. So that's the first bit to actually be aware of. Okay. So she may not be seen by target customers. And that's not good. Okay, and there's also the cost element as well of actually providing that service, so she's really got to think about that very carefully. Yeah, so that works very nicely, and then ultimately we need to finish up with the judgment here. And how do I recommend you reach judgment? Well, the judgment that you reach, I think, should really focus on three core elements. Firstly, that it should answer the question. So you've got to answer the question, which do you think is better, and justify why. Okay, so answer the question and justify why. Say what it might depend upon. Okay, so what might it depend upon? Because if these are enterprises attended by local enterprises, but they're all in the city centre with no gardens, then that's not much good. Okay, so fine. And then most important, what do you think is most important? Where is her target market going to be? I would argue that is the most important one, and thus I would end up concluding that the first option is probably the best one. Okay, so that's there. Answer the question. It depends upon. Most important, it's the structure you should try to use in your overall conclusion for this, okay, to really wrap this up in style. Great stuff, guys. I hope that's been useful. See you soon.